Ha, there we go. I knew something was going to go wrong. I knew it. I knew it. And I caught it this time. I caught it before I was 5 minutes into the stream this time. No. I watched like the first episode, like when everyone was raving about it years ago, and I just couldn't get into it. I don't know why. My voice is repeating? Hold on. What's causing that? My mic can't. There's no way there's no way it can repeat. Also, welcome demo and welcome disc. Come on. Why are you doing this to me? Hold on. I have to watch the live stream on my phone so I can hear what's going on. Alright. Doesn't sound like it's repeating. Yep, nope, we're good. We're good. Woo! Hey! I knew it. The mic wasn't working on my thing, and I caught it before I just rambled to myself for like 15 minutes. Yeah! I wasn't going to be caught out this time. Oh, better send out a thing. We're live. We're live. So if you ramble for 15 minutes with a busted mic, does that count as a successful distraction? No, if I ramble for 15 minutes with a busted mic, that just means I'm sad. Because then I won't remember what I've actually talked about and what I've told the stream. Hold on, everything sounds quiet? Why does everything sound quiet? Hold on. How about now? Oop, that's a little bit quiet. There, almost blasted my own ears out with that. Alrighty then. Does that sound better? Or worse? Also, welcome, Whirlard Queek. Whirlard Queek. If you ramble, no one else can hear it. Is it really rambling? Yes. Alright. I need to find better mic settings, like digital mic settings for this, instead of just having to mess with the gain all the time. Warlord Queek, the Skaven character from Warhammer. Nice. Never played Warhammer, but I heard it's fun. Is it Warhammer? I don't know. I wish I was more into games. They look so fun, but I'm terrible at them, so I just end up just living vicariously through like Let's Players, and that's how I get my entertainment, and I'm fine with that. But sometimes I'm like, man, it looks so much fun to play, like Skyrim or Fallout or something like that, and then but I just never go that extra step to actually play the game. They really broke the setting a few years ago. Interesting. I don't know, Des. Let me guess. It's one of three things that you keep telling me to invest in. So Desk is on a Breaking Bad streak this week. Interessante. Interessante. Well, like, so before I found out that my mic dumb broke. You son of a bat. You son of a bat. Yes, I know exactly what that clip is. Also, welcome, Drake. Welcome, welcome. It's ah, it's been a month. I did not expect uh May slash the early part of June to be that busy for me. And I don't know why I'm surprised because it's like that every year. But I'm glad I finally got around to doing it, even if it's an hour later than I usually like to do it. uh, but yeah, for Breaking Bad, like, it seems like an interesting show. And I've had many people recommend it that I watch it, especially during when it was super hyped. But I watched like the first two episodes and I wasn't hooked. I was hooked on like the characterizations of like the later seasons, but I don't know if I could watch the earlier episodes in order to get to the good stuff. Plus, it's too. What's the word? I can't think of a word right now because I don't have a dictionary pulled up like V does when he's finding all these 5-bit words to throw at me in these chapters. But it's too real in one sense of the term. But uh, but I usually just enjoy entertainment for the fact of just escapism more often than not. Which to say, realism isn't necessarily a bad thing because I do enjoy the Fallout franchise and post-apocalyptic worlds and whatnot. Their lore is fascinating to me. I don't know. I just don't think I'm like a binge watcher for the shows because I tried to watch Lucifer like ages ago because half my family was super into it. I binged like the first 3 seasons, haven't gone back even though it was a good show. Same thing with Castlevania. Watched the first 2 seasons. They ended, and I think they're on like season 5 now, and I still haven't gone back. Because if I'm in a mood for a show, I want to watch it then, and if I can't finish it before that mood ends, it's highly unlikely that I'll ever go back. Yeah, being swamped is really interest. It really sucks. Like I should have suspected that uh, the last month uh, or so should have been more busy because not only was I starting a new job, which you're always going to just be adjusting to that whole schedule and not really want to do things on the weekends, or maybe that's just a me thing. But then I also had 2 birthdays, my own and my mom's, and then La Father's Day, and I was just like, boom, 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 just one after another. So now I have a week free. So woo! Gurren Lagann is the farthest thing from realistic, and that's part of what makes it awesome. Thanks, Desk. Yeah, like, thank you. Uh, was a new chapter of of your book. Or is it, uh, what gift dost thou have? I knew it. I knew it was going to eventually reach Shattered Skies. Yes. Eventually. Eventually. I'll get to it. It'll eventually come around. Like I said, I have to be in a certain mood to to read or watch things. Another series that I really enjoy on YouTube, it's Primitive Technologies. That guy's great, but I have to be in a very specific mood in order to watch his content. Same thing with like a lot of creators that I watch. Like, has to be very specific mood. If I'm not in that mood, that doesn't happen, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of good stuff. But for now, I'll be able to just, let's see, where was it was cold brew, right? I'm pretty sure we're on cold brew. One of the most batty chapters, right? Let's see, where were we in cold brew? Ah, yes. Okay, now I know where we are. It's right on the screen. Perfect. That's usually not the case. But yeah, but it's just like my train of thought, my Roomba of thought, just wandered off into another direction. So I can't remember what I was going to say. Uh, uh, but I do want to say thank y'all for joining me tonight because it's been uh, mostly just because it's been so long and I love hanging out with y'all. So thanks for joining me because I know we always have a blast doing these streams. So I think without further ado, oh, think you're going to say something about reading chatters, guys? I don't know. I don't think I will. I do have a couple of projects in the midst that I would like to get restarted on, but I don't know when I'll find time to do them. But I do want to do them eventually, such as finishing the editing for Promise of a New Day, which is really fun. Which is a really fun book. Y'all should read it. It's part of the uh, Savage Sky series over on FinFiction. Not my book, but the author gave me permission to publish it, so I'm going to publish it slowly but surely. It's print on demand, so you don't need to hop on it anytime soon. But it's a good read. It has like martial arts and martial arts slash like bending and whatnot in it. It's really fun. Someone else knows about it. Yeah. Yeah, the first book is already has was done like last year. And it's ready. Like you could actually buy a copy, buy a hardcover copy for yourself. Uh, you just have to find like a link for it, which I think you can find on what is it, ponyarchive.org, something like that. Let's see. Hold on. I've archive. Nope, it's not that. I don't know how to spell archive either. Or is it the Pony Vault? You don't have to worry about getting me anything. Funny thing, I'm just super nonchalant about me having a birthday. So, like, the most I ever do is I just put it as, like, the whole, like, what is it called? What is it? Like, one of those status things. I just say birthday horse or something like that. And that's the only thing that will ever that will ever show up to say whether or not it's my birthday, because I don't know. I just don't draw a lot of attention to myself. Funny enough, I hit 25. I think I keep forgetting how old I am, which my siblings take the opportunity to razz me all the time because I'm apparently not old enough to forget how old I am. But to that I say fi. Fi to thee, because I just just because I I I forget things all the time. How old I am is just happens to be one of those things. I feel like after you get out of school, like once you finish high school, you don't really bother counting anymore. Once you hit 18, who count? No one really counts anymore. If Idol became a Sith Lord, oh, welcome, Iconic. Ah, he would definitely be like one of the Inquisitors, wouldn't he? Like I don't see Idol as a Sith Lord. I could totally see him as like an Inquisitor of some sort if he were ever like evil like that. If so, enjoy your newly discounted car insurance rates. Woo! Already enjoying them. They're great. Yeah, Idol would hate being a lord, but he would definitely be a good inquisitor. Would be naturally Sith. That's very true. Although Idol they're more no, yeah, they're more imperialistic than anything else. So I don't know if they would be Sith, but I don't even know if they would really want to use the Force in any way, shape, or form. They'd just be like law and order kind of deal. Oh, emotions are just too important to them. Okay, if you go from like that standpoint, yeah, the Sith, the Sith definitely they would all become the Sith for that. Though like their outward projection of everything seems more akin to Jedi than Sith because they really don't emote themselves because they use it for energy and they don't want to waste that on emoting themselves. So maybe they might be either more gray or they would be really good Jedi because even though they themselves lack emotions, they feed on it. They're too utilitarian. Oh, man. Hold on. Well, you don't have to imagine Idol saying the Sith code. Hold on, let me look up what it is. I've heard it several times and I can never remember it. Yeah, they'd be Sith that follow the Jedi mindset. Then that would totally just be a great. They would just totally be almost. They would be like on the cusp of a gray Jedi. Although, hmm, thing is that emotions aren't really that bad in terms of the force, such as like passion and whatnot. But, yeah, the Jedi and Sith always brings up like a curious because like the Sith like oath sounds the Sith code sounds much like if you take out the context of Jedi or Sith, the Sith code sounds like a much more like uh, healthy lifestyle than the Jedi have. All right, here we go. Peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The force shall set me free. I misread that last bit, but there we go. There is no emotion, but there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is harmony. There is no death, there is the force. There is only sugar. There is only sugar. Through sugar, I gain the happy. Through the happy, I am fed. Through being fed, I am free. We're going to start all over because that's all wrong. Oh, it's great. Yeah, hmm. For, but yeah, for changelings, I don't know. Like, I can totally see your side about like them being Sith, but I am totally through the sense that they'd be more Jedi than anything, just because through, uh, because they don't really use the emotions. They consume the emotions, but don't really use it for anything other than, you know, living. So they'd be, I'd say they'd almost be more Jedi. The Jedi were a major power within the Republic, whose main ruling body of the galaxy for most of the history. Of course, they would write themselves as the good guys. Unlimited power. All you can eat, honey. Yes. Man, like, funny things like, yeah, the sugar and, like, the hive thing. It just reminds me of all the conversations about Fort Nowhere and, like, the Bumblers. I I want that as a story now to see the Bumblers going, like, uh, town could just be a whole other fiction, not even needing Idol in it to to be fascinating. Just the denizens of town, and a rookie guard shows up out of nowhere. It would be a great like fiction, even of itself. It doesn't even need to be derivative of anything. Fort Nowhere is just it's such a fun story. But they have to make those around them more emotional. That is true, but Jedi's aren't always surrounded by Jedi's. They're peacekeepers, so they're more likely to be surrounded by a local populace than they are unless they just always live at the temple, which is not a thing that most Jedi's do. Well, Jake, that's what you're doing when you finish changing the guard. Have you ever heard of the story of Darth Idol the Glutton? Oh, that's great. It's not a story. Why are you telling Sirius about now? It's a cautionary tale. I'm not overeating. I am not overeating. Oh, Dad Bod Idol. Which, yeah, you did canonize Dad Bod Idol. Is it? Does he have? Does he have a dad bod now, or is he just so well fed that he's just like a very healthy changeling? I keep telling this friend of mine how amazing the Revenge of Sith novelization is. Hmm. Yeah, it like I know it's fun. I know everyone likes to hate on the prequels. I don't mind it that much. Yeah, I don't like the love. I don't like the whole uh, wooden acting, like the wooden love story bit. I kind of just was boring, skip through it. The rest of the prequels, not that bad, not that bad at all, and it's really cool. I mean, now we all hate on the sequel trilogy. Uh, I have a feeling that most people are like, "There's there's no such thing as the sequel trilogy." It doesn't just fix the movie; it's far superior. Idol's a little stout for a changeling. uh, yeah, the belts shrink for sure. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. So, so Warlord. So that line, I had it explained to me in a way that makes it like more tolerable. Like, yeah, it's really wooden and it comes out of nowhere, but uh, from what I from the thing that I remember hearing is that it was like one of the only times that George Lucas just was trying to be subtle about something and didn't uh, just full on these characters are feeling these emotions. Because of course he wouldn't like sand. He was a slave on a desert planet for like most his life. So like him saying he doesn't like sand, like yeah, anyone who went through that would hate sand. It's not just the sand itself; it's what it represents. Uh, but it does sound very awkward in the scene that it was put in, especially since no other no other line really seems to have those same undertones. Cheers to that. I don't know. Would changelings enjoy the desert and the sands? Because I remember there was oh, what was that series called? Aragorn, right? Not Aragorn. That's a different series. Aragon. So they say that the natural homelands of the dragons in that story are the sands, because one, they're reptiles, so they need like, this that they like being heated, more or less. Even though I think they're warm blooded in that series. I don't know. Anyway, but also they use like the the desert itself is like very beneficial because it can like clean their scales and whatnot. And I almost imagine the same thing being true for changelings, because even though they have like that hard shell of chitin, there's like, especially where it joins the body. I mean, like depending on where you where your thought process falls in how changeling chitin looks, whether it's like plates or it's just a full body semi rigid exoskeleton like the show portrays, but it still need to like be cleaned every once in a while. And I don't think they would. I think they would be more utilitarian than to use water for such a thing. So maybe like sand or dust baths, like certain mammals have, like chinchillas. Uh, the Finnish Spanish stuff. The man made dialogue read like an actual human beings were speaking it. It was a miracle. Nice. Changelings live in a wasteland. That's because they devour everything. Deserts don't appeal. Their preferred biome is probably jungles and humid places. That's probably true. Changelings tend to prefer warmer climates, but anywhere you have changelings, you'll eventually go wasteland. Bugs generally don't do well in the cold. That's true. So yeah, like they probably enjoy jungles, deserts, uh, deserts, much more on the humid side. But I would imagine that, like, if they did live in the desert, they would just make their cave. They just like them existing in their cave and their cave system itself would make it more humid. Because I always imagined uh, like in the show, they show like they have like this. The hive is like this big castle-y kind of structure that keeps morphing and changing, which is interesting. I always imagine them like a tunneling species, uh, where they just go wherever they are, they dig. It's like a termite mound. True, that is true. I also like funny thing is like most of my headcanons are headcanons from others from stories that just kind of combine together into amalgamation. Like this one story I read, it's written. It's called what is it called? It's a three-part series. It's a three-part book. It's called like uh, what I've become, what I am, and something else. I can't remember. Uh, but it is the blank page series describes changelings hives to xenomorph dens architecturally anywhere. Interesting. Yeah, I could totally see that. They describe like the reason why the hive is like constantly like changing and whatnot is because like you always see a changeling queen, but you never see the changeling king, and there's always that whole like thing of yeah, there are insects. There's a queen, and then she has like concubines, basically. uh, but in the story, they have he doesn't necessarily go by king, but he's a what is it, patriarch? Yeah, I think that's the male version. He's the patriarch of the hive, where he literally fuses to the hive wall, to the hive itself, and becomes the hive, which is interesting, kind of gross, but it's a really cool concept I've never seen anywhere else. And the reason why the hive morphs and shapes, the changes shapes and whatnot, is through his direction because he literally becomes the hive. Which, yeah, don't think about it too much, but it's really interesting. Fun story tidbit: there may have been a changeling king. Oh, lore. You know how much I love lore, V. I kind of see changelings as succubus and incubi with a mix of xenomorphs. I can totally see it. I can totally see it. Like I still see changelings as they don't really have structure to them. They are sacks of magical goo with a hard shell around around them. They don't really have organs or anything. They're just a gel-filled sack and that's why they can change into whatever shape that they want, including rocks, including rocks occasionally, and the transformation also gives them similar organs to what they need to like be that species, but mainly they are just sacks of goo. I think V says that it's a single hive setting so far, but I also do enjoy a multi-hive setting, mostly because I've read Village Called Respite. Great story, great story, and I really need to read the sequel to it because I read most of it, but then I caught up to where I was reading, then lost interest. I saw more chapters posted, and then I didn't read them, and I was sad because then it uh, is not complete. Sadness. But there was also multi-hive settings are fascinating because of the different ways changelings could potentially feed. I've also seen a story. I think it's called like The Betrayed or something. It was like one of those really early changeling stories where there used to be multiple hives, but then during like a cataclysm or something like that, Chrysalis just rounded up all the hives and united them under one queen. And like they have like this spell to like make a queen, and they have like and like the spell pattern that uses it, you can change it slightly to like represent like what your hive's about. And for Chrysalis's hive, a united hive, it was just her power over everything. When I was considering multi-hive or a respite crossover, yay, the big thing was that Chrysalis's hive is so completely different than the others that they don't even know where she came from. That is true. I like the change by Tom117Z. Hmm. What is Tom117Z? I got to look it up. As a user. Ah, he is a writer. Okay, I assume fanboy. Okay, I assume it's a he. All right, another changeling story for me to follow. Woo! I'll have to read these at a later date, but they look interesting. They look really interesting. Um, uh, yeah, there's so many different ways to portray changelings. I know in Respite they was it Respite? No, it wasn't Respite. It was also in the What I've Become series, where they explain that Chrysalis's hive, she's a bane on every other nest around them, but they can't do anything against her because she's activated like this primal changeling trait. Uh, I think they call it in the story they call it like swarming or something like that, and where they just it's like a all all bets are off. We're going to basically feed ourselves into starvation, kind of deal, where the hive expands so greatly so fast, and they just consume everything around them, and that's why the Badlands formed around Chrysalis's hive, was because they just ate everything in the general area, and then doing like the swarming makes them more powerful than any other hive, so they can't really do anything to stop Chrysalis's invasion or what happens later in that series. Because she she's like triple the size of any other hive just through this alone. It's kind of like the reverse of changing of the guard. Interesting. It seems like poor long term planning. Yeah, it's also Chrysalis. So Chrysalis is just a little insane, so she's just kind of mad for power. And if that makes her the most powerful hive, so be it. They also come up with like a really interesting thing for the multiple hives is that there's like five or six different hives, including chrysalises, and the thing they get their patriarchs from other hives that allows them to like maintain good relationship as well as to not fall into inbreeding practices and whatnot. Uh, so that's like how they explain like, oh, if they're just so that's how they don't like get any of like the genetic issues that fall from that sort of thing, is that they're just like, yes, the one producing that's having or one fertilizing all the eggs to put it mildly is comes from a different stock, and that kind of unites the hives all together rather than the other common explanation of Celestia blowing up the entire region for reasons. They build more space to hold the changelings, and then there's more space to build, so they need more changelings, which means they need more space. Yeah, that is also true. That is very true. Mm. The Oh, my Roomba thought went off again. Idle I wonder if Idle's ever heard the euphemism, or was it euphemism or idiom? I can't. I never remember the difference between the two of train of thought. Would he be terrified by that, or proceed to put it out of his mind and never think about trains trains having thought or trains controlling ponies' thought? Without Earth Pony magic to replenish the soil or Pegasus magic to control the weather, the changelings exhaust all the natural resources quickly. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what happened. Um, it's metaphor. Okay, I don't know. Like for me, they all seem to have like pretty much the same meaning. So I don't. So I can never. So I can never decide which one I'm doing because everyone's just like, oh, it's a euphemism, it's a metaphor, it's an idiom. Like my mind, those three are the same, same definition because it kind of feels like it half the time. Thomas the Tank Engine is a little horror show. It is a great show though. Like I don't know why, but YouTube keeps recommending me shows from my childhood, and I've been watching them, and I'm like, these are much better than I remember them. Also, much shorter. A euphemism is a way of disguising whatever is you're referring to, like referring to death as the big sleep. Interesting. All right. Like I found this channel called like I think it's the Unlucky Tug, where he reviews like the various seasons of Thomas the Tank Engine, and like I found some of them. I'm like, man, this show was was like the MOP of its day, way back when, before uh, before they just started making it like a show for babies and toddlers and whatnot. But it used to be a great show for all to enjoy. I was like the idea of royal changelings made by the queen, but aren't kings or queens themselves. Interesting. So those are euphemisms. So with the Roomba's gone. So so I always am torn with how I want hive structure to be because every story has their own hive structure and hierarchy and whatnot. Hey, another Unlucky Tug fan. Woo! Same here. I grew up on Thomas as well. Um, Funny thing, there's actually one of the few steam locomotives, like a few towns over, and they have a Thomas's Day Out, like once every few years. And I got to go as a kid, and I was so happy because they had like this Thomas-looking train there, and I was like, it had even had his face on the front of the boiler. And I was like, yay! um, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, a changeling society structure. I it's kind of I don't know how I feel about changeling structure societal structures because in the show it's just Chrysalis is at the top, nothing else, and like for like and as we see them as like insect hives, that kind of works a lot. Uh, I lost the thought again. Man, my Roomba of thought is against me today. Uh, so like changeling hierarchy is like we always see Chrysalis on top and like there's no other authority in her hive, which makes sense for insect hives. And then that's kind of the way the show portrays changelings in general. And but I'm not sure if I like the idea of other hierarchies, like in this one changeling story, which uh, it's one of those ones that never finished. Let's see, I have it saved somewhere. It takes place in the Crystal Empire, and why is I always remember as kind of like a weird one. Do I not have it saved anymore? No. I must have it saved somewhere. Come on. Where is it? Where is it? Come on. Come on. It would grow in all directions at once. Yeah, that's fair. Did you know that Rheneas and Skarloey are based on the local? Yes, I did know from the Tallyclin Railway. Also, Tallyclin. I would never guess that that's how that name is pronounced. Because that does not have a C or a K anywhere in it, and but it's definitely not pronounced the Tallylin. It's the Tallyclin Railway. uh, but let's just be real. English is weird. uh, Language itself is strange. Can I search my own stories? Because I am upsetty spaghetti now because I want. It's like it's, all hail the emperor or something like that, and I can't remember what it's called. Emperor. Is that that's not how you spell emperor? Ah, that's how you spell. Okay. The king is dead. Long live the emperor. Okay. ah. You just pronounce any given collection of consonants as coughing sound. Oh my gosh, yep. So in The King is Dead, Long Live the Emperor. Uh, oh, it's by Bucking Nonsense. He's a good author. He never finishes any of his stories, which makes me sad because he always has such fantastic concepts, but then he never follows through on them. Or he never finishes the story, and he never finishes it. And it's just like, you have a great story here. Just write it, please. uh, but in this story, they have a changeling hierarchy, which just they have like multiple houses and whatnot, and they're like noble houses, and there's difference between the noble houses and like regular changelings, and basically the nobles rule everything and just make everything like shit and stuff like that. So, uh, so I'm like I because it's just such difference from how the changelings are usually portrayed that it was kind of off-putting at first, and I enjoyed it in the story as it was because it had a good reveal to why it was set up that way. At the same time, though, I don't feel like um, I don't feel like changelings would fall into this kind of structurization just because Chrysalis would want authority over everyone and no one to have authority but her. It feels like yeah, maybe she might have lieutenants and whatnot, but there, but changeling society is just so much more alien than it is anything else. Yeah, somber kicks are fun because there's a lot of good somber stories out there. Um, my favorite part uh, of this is the explanation of where changelings came from. it's not an evil nail in a or in a tree or anything like that. It's or was it evil nail in an evil tree, or is it a good nail in an evil tree that spawn changelings, like in the comics? but uh, but I liked what they did with it, where they explained that changelings actually came from crystal ponies. I'm like, that's awesome because it totally makes sense for these emotivores to come from the only other species that seem to use emotion based magic. Because they're crystal ponies, they don't really have magic of their own. They like we'd never see them use magic. They don't even have. They're all just basically earth ponies, but crystalline. But then we see during uh, anytime that they activate the crystal heart, all of them feeling a certain emotion altogether, and they were able to like expel evil basically, and to and live in a society far removed from Equestria. So I'm like, so their magic must be based on just like collective emotions and whatnot, like Crystal Pony together strong kind of deal. A tree next to an evil magic pool. Exactly. And stuff like that. So, like, the only species ever to use, like, emotions as their magical base, somehow becoming corrupted or disconnected from the Crystal Heart by not being in the Empire, which makes sense. Like, it's highly unlikely that all the Crystal Ponies are not going to be. It's highly unlikely that all the Crystal Ponies are going to be in the Empire when it disappears. So they probably. So there's probably a handful that were caught on the outskirts, either on the outskirts or in Equestria itself, became disconnected from the heart, and since the heart is like their major magical mumbo jumbo, that they all became collectively from weaker than any other species because of their disconnection from the heart from it being dispersed by Sombra. And then them in their desperation they create a spell that will fully disconnect them from the heart, but that is not taken lightly as they become cursed by it to never be able to use emotions like they used to and constantly need to eat it for sustenance, thus creating the changelings. And it's really cool. Why is that one small city called? Let's see. They built an entire city out of solid crystal. They have some kind of magic. I mean, they are also crystal, like they are see through. They are crystal. Um, when a male changeling feels absolutely neutral to a female changeling, and she feels the same way, the hive needs more droves, and a magical thing happens. So, one small city called an empire. I have a feeling that like that was the capital of the empire, and that the rest of its nation was just like annexed into Equestria or something like that. The queen tells them to make eggs, and they do. The end. This is not the way it goes. Yeah, that's true. See, Nox, that's why I keep telling you that Precure is like Precure is all about girls using their friendships and emotions to banish evil. Changeling Rebellion was always a cool concept to me. Yeah, it's a really neat concept. Like, unless they are like a true like hive mind, like some stories show, they're all going to have their own unique characteristics, and some free thinkers, which Chrysalis might want to quash at the earliest convenience and whatnot, uh, might choose to rebel against her either quietly or in an uprising kind of way. Uh, but yeah, I my favorite like concept of the changelings seems to always be they are their own problem. Like they're not that way naturally. So they're not that way naturally, but the way that they got that way was kind of their fault, in all honesty. Uh, like in All Help, the King is Dead, Long Live the Emperor. They Sombra, not Sombra, Crystal Ponies through desperation turned them accidentally created what were the first changelings that then grew in size and almost so removed from their Crystal Pony counterparts that it was that you could say that they were never the same unless they reconnect themselves with their heart and restore themselves back to their full magic and uncursing themselves. Or the one that was my headcanon for the longest time uh, was that the changelings through like an evil magic, probably Discord, because any pre-equestrian thing, it's usually blamed on Discord, caused them to not be able to use emotions, but not be able to create emotions, but need to feed on them. And through the feeding on other emotions, they create more changelings because, like, it's kind of like when Topaz became a husk in my headcanon. Uh, if left in that state for too long, she would become a changeling. More than she would become a changeling, and need to feed on emotions around her in order to live, along with like her fur being replaced by chitin and all that fun little body horror stuff. And that's kind of how I was thought of changelings, is that they're not inherently evil. They're just the cause of their own destruction half the time. But I'm always a sucker for changeling lore because it's always so fascinating. Now, here comes the interesting part. How am I going to do Shining? Because I know he's like a surfer bro dude. Spoiler alert, Discord has no idea what changelings even are. Interesting. Very interesting. Which kind of makes sense when you think about it, because their whole society is based on order, which is just like the antithesis of chaos. 1 hour and no recording. This is why the stream was set for 3 hours instead of the usual 2, because I knew this would happen. And then I can get 2 hours recording in and maybe get one chapter recorded. Because because my Roomba of thought will not allow me to ignore it for long. But yeah, I could totally see. Oh, oh. I forgot I haven't posted this anywhere yet. It's Idle's Fears Come to Life, and it's great. It's this little indie game that's slowly catching on, and it's so much fun. And it's not out yet. But it will be out in, I think he said late to this year or early next year. It's called it is called Choo Choo Charles. And if anyone hasn't seen this, prepare to be amazed. Because it is just as horrifying as you might expect it, and is probably Idol's worst nightmare come to life. uh, let's see. I'll put it in. I'll put it in memes. I'll put it in the memes. Come on. Nope, not page up. Gosh, my work. I have to use page up all the time in order for the system to do anything because it's MS DOS. And the whole background of the place I work at is on MS DOS because they jokingly say anyone that could hack the system is either dead or working for us. Oh man. But yeah, Spider Train wait, is Topaz afraid of spiders? Because if so, this is Topaz's and Idol's most. This is Topaz and Idol's fears realized. And might make Topaz also afraid of trains. Was it spiders or rats? I can't remember. Which one's Topaz afraid of? I'll just put that out there. Headcanon was changelings could have their free will stripped away. It kind of did happen with Idol a couple of times. Oh, have all y'all seen Pence's video where oh no, I don't think I want to type that. Discord uses purely chaotic magic. Changeling magic is order, as opposed to Pony's harmony magics, as mentioned in Topaz's study session. Changeling magic is a different kind of wave. What was it? What was I going on about? I can't remember. Oh, did y'all? I assume y'all have seen Pensive's video where it's basically Moth Chaser reacting to reacting to the stream where we're like, yeah, Moth Chaser just deleted both the Bat Pony videos because she wants Idol on top. Which that's also very fun. Where and I do enjoy the implications that that the characters watch the streams to see the live play of Idol Hooves' life, much to his chagrin. Desk, I would like to see you pronounce pensive. It's not an easy word. Especially with the with this accent. It's terrible. Pensives. That it's a tongue twister. Like I bet you all can't do that first try. First go, no try. Because it's hard. It's so hard. Oh, okay. So what does Shining sound like? Hey, Idol. Yeah, that kind of sounds like him. Do I need to call you again? Yes, just because so I can show you that pensive is not that easy of a word to say. Bet. 100% bet. Pensives. And no practicing, because I didn't get a practice before you roasted me, so you don't get to either. If Desk fails, I want V to change his nickname in the server to also Pensives. Just to get back at him. And Pensivivs is also getting a lot of, I would bet, lots of money. I'm betting a. I bet that you'll lose, and my bet is not money. It is your name in within the server. No. I refuse. You have been practicing this just you have been practicing this off screen just to call me out. Pensives, pensives, and I will refuse to do it. I refuse. I refuse that there has not been any practice. I did not bet $250. So you're paying yourself $250 there, muchacho. I just bet a name change. You're the one that bet $250. Another headcanon is the main pony races came from Bat Pony, Crystal Pony, and the ponies with curved horns. I don't know what they're. Ponies with curved horns. So you're not talking about unicorns, right? Um, it's not Kieran, because that's a different pony altogether. Unless you are talking about Kieran. The cows. Yes, cows. Ponies with curved horns are cows. Because Sombra has a curved horn. Is it the Umbrum? If they have multiple curved horns, then yeah, they're probably cows or bulls. If it's not that, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm saying either Umbrums or Kierans, because I think that's the only other horned creature other than cows in the series. Although it could be completely off my mark there. Um, but yeah, I that Roomba, it hit another wall and it's going in a completely opposite direction now. I forgot what I was doing. Oh yeah, hey Idle, did I ever like? Have I ever done a consistent shining voice? Welcome, Aiden. You haven't missed anything. I've just been chatting for like an hour for of random stuff. If it's like Sombra, then it must be Umbrums, right? No, I don't know you, Desk 250, because I didn't agree to a bet of 250. The bet that I agreed to was name change on the server. Which, if I. Pensive might get really confused. Bat ponies had their own land and immigrated en masse, so it became unlivable. Karens are curved horned ponies. Well, thing is that I. The only reason I have to think like it's not Kieran. All right, then since it's business as normal, I'm a lurk. All right, sounds good, Aiden. Glad you can make it. Thing is that Kierans don't really have a curved horn as like unicorns, as we know unicorns to have. They have like a tree branch sticking out of their head, looking thing. But Umbrums, kind of like since Sombra is an Umbrum, like if he's saying it's like Sombra, it's probably an Umbrum. which is another comic character, which I haven't read the comic for. I haven't read any of the comics, actually. I was recently watching Restaurant to Another World and suddenly found myself wondering what I would do if he suddenly found a random lure leading to a restaurant in another world. Said door only appearing every 7 days. Ooh. Also, welcome, Seth. Would he know that it was another world, a restaurant in another world, before or after going through it? Because if he does, he would most likely note it as a curiosity and report it to superiors as unstable magical door. If it's not, then Idol will probably, yeah, exactly. Idol will probably have lunch there once a week. Especially if the food's really good. If it's a door into Equestria, it has a duty to patrol. That is also true. But also, I would assume that highly unstable magical objects, like a door that randomly appears and disappears, would either need to be guarded, or would be assigned to a different organization that handles in unstable artifacts. Interesting. I don't know. I've never watched. I assume it's an anime because it's just because the name sounds like it. uh, I don't really watch too many animes, but it does sound really interesting. He's going to be not pleased about the mirror to Canterlot High. So, would Idol just become like a hall monitor? Because we know he wouldn't turn into a teenage cop, because anyone that goes through that portal seems to be reverted back to a teenager. Uh, the little shop of mysterious cursed objects that's never in the same place twice. I know that fic, and that's a good fic. They got like a monkey paw there one time, and Pinky was the only one that like doesn't completely destroy the world because of it. Uh, let's see. I could totally see uh, Idol be like turned into a hall, like the his character, like guard armor he's just becomes a hall monitor. I can totally see that happening. That also gets pulled into the shenaniganeries of Pony Madness. Well, sure didn't turn Spike into one. He had to upgrade it to a dog. Changeling can absorb lightning. Interesting. We were talking about how Idol would most likely be a Sith, or Changelings would most likely be Siths or Jedi. We were debating on whether or not they could be Siths or Jedis by default. Uh, V thinks Siths, I think Jedis, but lightning absorption, very interesting indeed. And I can see it. I can kind of see it, especially with like the skin. Like, I don't know if they would be able to absorb it, biologically speaking. And I know you say it's a head canon, but I'm just trying to work it out how it would work in my mind. I'd say they might be able to like tank it without taking any damage. These are not the lings you're looking for. 100%. 100%. Um, I have a feeling he'd be less distressed about the mirror to Canterlot High, and more distressed about like the natural portals between worlds, which I haven't watched any Equestria Girls after the second movie, so I only know this basically because I watch Basically, because I just watch Sawtooth all the time, and that's the only reason I know any of these Equestria Girls stuff. Which is interesting, and also provides a reason for why the world becomes the way it is for G5. It's fun. Um, actually, it's really interesting because the Canterlot train station that we see in G5, if you look at the back there, it looks like there's changelings holding up the clock in the very background of that train station. Haven't been able to get a clear picture of it, but it definitely looks like it could be changelings. Fins and everything. Everything that happens after about season 3, I only know from fanfics. I mean, kind of the same, except for me, it's like season 6. Okay, let's see. I always have to go through a rigmarole to figure out which season I stopped watching in. When does the G5 series start? It started with the movie, but it starts like an undisclosed amount of time between Gen 4 happens between Gen 4 and Gen 5 to the point where anything from Gen 4 are ancient relics and a forgotten history, which is very interesting. I mean, the TV series, didn't they already have an episode come out? I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with it. I know that they have like the Make Your Mark thing, right? Or is it On Your Marks? I can't. I don't know anything about G5. I haven't watched anything from G5 except for the movie. I have a lot of headcanons, so changes could turn visual, but it takes a lot of magic. Like kind of like an active camo thing from like Halo and whatnot. I could totally see that. I saw random episodes while my sister was watching, but when I tried to watch the series, I found seasons 1 and 2 to be kind of a slog. Yeah, seasons 1 and 2. Like, everyone that I've talked to, seasons 1 and 2 is like, they're the classic series, but they aren't the ones that they would introduce people to. The reasons why I'm so confuzzled is the appearances of screenshots and the like on Derpaburu as such as a much older looking Discord. That could be from the comics. I'm not sure. Because I think we did see like Discord's tooth in the comics at one point. I'm not sure about it though. There's also let's see. I can't remember. And it could just be people's fan arts too, because fan art has like almost eclipsed show quality like time and time again. So it's, for me, it's no stretch of an imagination to see it happening again, especially since there's so many talented 3D artists. What I'm curious about is how the changelings would look in the G5 art style, because yeah, they look like they lost a war with a paint factory, but they were trying to go for like an iridescent bug look, and it was kind of just limited by the art style. But now we could have an iridescent rainbowy shine on changelings if they do appear in Gen 5, which I'd be really excited about. I do like the classic designs of changelings more than the new designs, but that might pull me over to the changeling side. That's Sunny and friends de-aged, then Pip trying to take care of and fix them. Huh, interesting. Star Wars, but it's just idle hooves. True. Honestly, if they messed up Harmony Magic, Thorax's changelings probably reverted. Black changelings are better than color changelings. Yeah. Uh, so the thing is that we haven't seen any other species in the entirety from the movie, and as far as I know, we haven't seen any new species in the TV show yet. From my guess, especially since they were like so integrated with the rest of Pony Society at the end of G4, like all like yaks, changelings, hippogriffs, griffins, like they're all like even Kieran's. Like Kieran's even came out of their woods at the end of Gen 5 and like intermingled with everyone, and they haven't, and we haven't seen that in Gen 5 yet. So what I'm thinking is what happens is that like the discourse between the three pony races might have just caused every other race to just kind of be like, well, I'm going to just mosey on out of here. And so they might not even be in Equestria anymore. It might be a much more advanced civilization compared to ponies. My own idea is that changelings can't go invisible, but they can easily make their skin match the background, like a cuttlefish does. Yeah, I'm. That's kind of what I'm thinking with like active camouflage, kind of deal like from the Halo series, where it's not perfect and you can tell, but you're just kind of like mimicking the background. um, but yeah, I could totally see that like the other races, like uh, going, uh, just being like, we're going to leave the ponies to deal with pony problems, for one reason or another, and just kind of head on back to their own lands, maybe because of like the failing magic of the state or something else entirely. It could be that Cozy Glow got out and absorbed all the magic again. Who knows? Darth Idol, Darth Idol, but he sounds like Darth Vader. I mean, he is a dad now, so if it turns out the Griffins managed to rebuild their empire, then G5 would be interesting to me. It would be very interesting because it's almost kind of like a reverse of G4, where every other race is having their heyday, and ponies are kind of just like down in the slumps. I want to know how the sun and the moon began to care for itself with no magic. My friend Kitsy has a theory that Twi may have made a device to manage it, and something went wrong, resulting in the magic decline. So this is kind of like, I'm going to be quoting Sawtooth's theories for a little bit, because for the things that we have right now, I really agree with them right now. So there's an episode in G4. It's the one where Luna and Celestia take a vacation. They give Twilight an artifact that will allow her to raise the sun or the sun and moon, and she's like, just preferably at dawn and dusk. So dawn and dusk aren't really. They used to be. They're not defined by when the sun sets and by sunrise and sunset. They are defined as actual times that then Celestia has to match with, and then Twilight being Twilight would probably want to like not have to manage the sun and moon all the time. So she might have built like this huge mechanism where it would automatically like keep the sun and moon on a set time schedule, uh, maybe even hidden underground or something like that. Uh, so that way it would never be targeted. But and that's how the sun and moon keep on rotating is through this artifact. I haven't read the chat in a while, and it went past what I can see. So hold on. Okay, I didn't miss. I actually didn't miss anything. Uh, and then Celestia and Luna took over. Twilight automating at the cost of all the magic and Equestria after say Luna and Celestia vanished makes a lot of sense. Well, like, so kind of like that. No, I am your father. I am your father's brother's second cousin roommate from college. No, I am your mother. Yes, that's exactly Idol. Or Loki. Is Idol slowly turning into Loki here? Uh, yeah, like Celestia and Luna put their gave an amulet to Twilight in order to raise the sun and the moon when they went on vacation. Before she was even a princess, she was still an alicorn, but she wasn't. The God King yet. So, like, I could totally see Twilight being as studious as she is, creating a mechanism uh, to keep the day and night on track. Also, the day and night cycle never really makes sense, in all honesty, because they always say like it's controlled by Celestia and Luna, but during the Cozy Glow season finale, where she's stealing all the magic from Equestria, they're like, the magic will be gone in 3 days completely, and ponies will lose their magical ability after day 1. Day 1. So how could there be 3 days with no sunrise and sunset? Also, how's Celestia and Luna controlling the sunrise and sunset? Because they have no magic to control the sunrise and sunset. No pony has magic, and only artifacts have magic at the end of the 3rd day. So it makes sense that. So it completely makes sense that it's like maybe they don't control the sun or moon, or maybe the sun and moon do move by themselves, but they need a slight guidance from day to night, and it's not as hyperactive. But that contradicts things from other seasons. I'm saying that sun and moon has never made sense in MLP, because you say that it's only controlled through pony magic. Pony magic disappears for at least 2 days, but we still see the sun and moon moving. And she's just been totally absorbed in a book for the last 10,000 years, and everyone's forgotten that she's there. Ooh. That's interesting. How do you think Idol would deal with Cozy? As a changeling, I feel he would be able to sense her true nature. I think Idol would sense like a fakeness about Cozy Glow, but he would just probably chalk it up to pony child madness and not really do anything about it. Also, like, there's also a theory floating around that Twilight gave up her magic and alicornhood in order to empower the rainbow crystals that we see in G5 to keep magic going, because why else would magic disappear from Equestria? Because we've seen non-harmonic ponies before the first Heartswarming, but they still had magic. Like, G4 is a world devoid of magic and pony ability, so something else must have gone terribly wrong. But then, since artifacts seem to are much more sturdy than pony magic, the entirety of an alicorn's magic might be enough to empower up the entire country. It might have come up. I don't know what I don't know why, but I always think the MLP world is so effed up. Yeah, it's kind of messed. It kind of is in certain ways. It kind of is, and kind of can undo it. I have a theory that Argyle knew where Twy was, or at least had met her to know what Twy and her friends had looked like, and have a journal with Twy's starburst on it. Well, the journal was that's like the friendship journal. Like he found the friendship journal, so maybe like we know that Equestria loves illustrations and whatnot, so he could have found illustrations of. He could have found illustrations of the main six. But it's very interesting that even if he met Twilight, he didn't draw her as Alicorn Twilight. He drew her as Unicorn Twilight. Uh, who knows? Maybe Twilight still saw herself as a unicorn, but even at the end of G4, she looks completely different from other ponies around her, in all her alicornness. I read one fic where they said Cozy defied all explanation, like they used a mind reading spell on her. Her memories changed as they shifted as she watched. Interesting. That's fast. I like a lot of people like say Cozy like they were too hard on Cozy. I'm like, she tried to murder people, so I'm kind of good with the punishment that she got, especially since the whole reforming usually is about friendship. Ponies are completely caught off guard by friendship being used against them. So, how can you reform someone with friendship who would only see friendship as power? Granted, like the more I look back on it, the more I'm like, maybe something else could have been done. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Uh, just to see what he would do. He'd be very confused about where did the god empresses go. Mostly. There was no simple solution to dealing with her. Yeah, so like I think there was another theory going about where uh that discussed like whether or not like uh them being trapped as statues, how things would change whether or not um, they were awake or asleep within the statue. Uh, like Discord says, he was awake for the entirety of his imprisonment. So that just brings up a whole other slew of just messed up stuff that that I don't want to think about. Most people point out that one, Cozy was 11ish. Two, Tyrek was on strike 3. Chrissy was on strike like 5, and Cozy was on strike 2. Yeah, to reform Discord, they say spells could be a backup, basically brainwashing. Yeah, I think they regret their term of use of a reformation spell. Uh, and funny enough, there's this fic I saw called Equestrian Landings that explained that tidbit away, where reformation spells, where the whole Equestrian Landings, also unfinished, and I'm sad about it. Basically, humans get through like I don't know, like Discord magic. They get transported uh, to Equestria en masse and put into like various forms of races and whatnot. Uh, but they all know MLP, so when they hear the term Reformation spell, they immediately think brainwashing, and uh, and it's revealed later that a Reformation spell in this world isn't a brainwashing spell like we think of it. It is more like a Gios. It's not so much a Gios, but it is a gentle reminder that you to keep you within the gentle reminder, but it is by no means forcing you to do so. like they bring up like if you put a reformation spell to put you on a diet, and you go and you're feeling uh, peckish for a late night snack, it will remind you that hey, you're on a diet. Don't do it. Gesh. Gias is Gesh. But the thing is the anime is called Code Geass. Everyone says it's Code Geass, not Code Gesh. So, what's the difference? So, riddle me this, V, because I don't want to look it up right now. What's the difference between Code Geass and what's the difference between a Geass and a Gesh? Are you sure you want to do that? Exactly, Warlord. Exactly. Elements of Harmony punish Sunset by placing 2 curses on her. Any questions she was asked, she had to answer truthfully. And 2, if asked to do something, she had to do it, especially if the word please is used, unless it's illegal or harmful. Interesting. Gias is the Japanization of an Irish word. All right. All right, I see that. So, so really, so I mean, all language is made up. Let's be real. So they're both right and both wrong in different ways. So, I will pronounce it Gesh just because it's your fic and you pronounce and you say it specifically. It's Gesh within the text, so I will pronounce it as Gesh. But it is also technically Gias. It doesn't make you go crazy with voices in your head. It's more like they explain it better in the fic, but it's just like it's not voices in your head. It's more like a what's that? It's like a almost like a feeling. Like you know when you're about to do something that you know you're going to regret later, your body just kind of like you just get a feeling that you're going to regret this later, or you get a feeling that you shouldn't have gotten out of bed this morning. It's kind of like that, but not like so much you're going to. It's not so much impending dread. It's just like a. It's just like when your inner voice just says, "Hey, you shouldn't be doing that," or me, it's like you should be doing something instead of watching TV all day. You're gonna regret doing that. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm not in control of my body anyway, because that is what ADHD is all about, and I hate it. Yes, putting Clippy in your head would be great. You'll be sorry. Exactly. Exactly. It's a feeling, not so much verbal. So that is what's it all that and that so that is what a reformation spell in that fic is all about. All language is made up. The only thing all language have in common is that Nox somehow manages to mispronounce all of them. True, very true. I don't even know if a reformation spell would work on Discord. In all honesty, he's just very all powerful. But it doesn't actually. It sounds like hell. Are you saying what I go through every day sounds like hell, or the Reformation spell sounds like hell? Because you're right, both of them. It is 100% what it feels like. Uh, uh, and I'm so glad that I've found like other people that have put this into words, where it's like you know you should be doing something, but your body refuses to do it, even though you're yelling at yourself for like hours on end that you should be doing something. Is 100% what it is, what it's like, and not specifically for Reformation spells, but just my version of ADHD, or not my version, but a version of ADHD altogether. That is exactly what it's like. A friend of mine once told me a story about a friend of his who learned Klingon for fun. One day said, "Friend got uh, got mad at their teacher and cussed them out in Klingon only for the tech to reply back. Oh my gosh, that's great. But yeah, especially with the especially if it's a nerdy teacher, you don't ever want to take that chance because who knows what they know. Precisely. So reforms, and I'm right there with you with ADHD, but yeah, it's like, but yeah, I do enjoy like the idea of us completely misinterpreting what a reformation spell actually does because we never see one being cast, and I have a feeling that it's either the show writers knew we would be disgusted with the idea of a reformation spell, or they knew that it wouldn't work. Uh, it being the reason why we don't see them being put under a reformation spell uh, at the end of the series. So I would because it's probably the former, but the in-world explanation is probably the latter. You want to curse them out in black speech, the language of Mordor, so you know. Oh man, the funny thing is that as much as I enjoy Lord of the Rings and all that, and generally sci-fi fantasy, and sci-fi fantasy, uh, I haven't really watched all of it, or even most of it. I don't think I've actually seen the entirety of Lord of the Rings from front to back. I know I've seen most of it, but I've never sat down and watched it from Fellowship all the way to uh, Return of the King. Same thing with Star Wars. I don't think I've seen any Star Wars since I was like 7. What? It's just about 15 hours a movie. Exactly. Have I played Shadow of War? No, but I have played War in the North, which is also really fun. I played with my brother. We played it for like a month. It was great, and we were just like, "Yeah, we're not going to let you die, Eagle," because we like the eagle as friend. We don't want to kill our eagle friend. And I was the elvish wizard in that one, and I chugged potions of mana like there was no tomorrow, and I would still die constantly. I'm not fond of the new Star Wars stuff. That's very fair. I'm not fond of the new stuff either, except for maybe episode 7. Like, I enjoyed episode 7. It set up a lot of cool stuff that then was completely ignored. But episode 7 by itself, yes, it might have been a rehash of New Hope, but I enjoyed it. My enjoyment for movies, the so my scale of liking movies. Oh, have a good night, Aiden. I'll hopefully we'll catch you next stream. So it's important to me that you die a good extend saber. Your death alone will be more than if sufficient. Like I said, I don't exactly consider the Jedi to be good guys, just the lesser of two evils. Yeah, pretty much. They kind of grown vain in all their power that they received during the days of the Republic. Um, so here's the Nox's scale for for a movie and whether or not I enjoy a movie. The lowest bar that most movies tend to clear. Uh, was I entertained? If it's a yes, then I consider it a good movie. Was I entertained and it had cool effects? Or like not cool effects. Was I entertained and I had an interesting storyline? That's a fantastic movie. And that is the Noxus scale of movies. Good guys don't kidnap kids just because they are force sensitive. I am married. That is not the Jedi way, brother. Then I am not your brother. True. So, for example, a movie that everyone seems to hate, uh, the original not Justice, the original Suicide Squad. Uh, I like that movie. That was a fun movie. Uh, Everyone's like, it has lazy writing and whatnot. I enjoyed that movie. That movie was fun. It was a fun popcorn flick, and I enjoyed the story that came out of it. So it's a great movie in my book. And that is the contentious scale of me liking or disliking movies. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Exactly. I'm trying to use the Force. Use the horse, Luke. Use the horse. Oh, man. Also, I feel like they introduced Saddle Arabians once in the. I know this is a completely different tangent. They use Saddle Arabians like once and never talk about them ever again. We don't even see them in the whole cultural gathering that we saw at the end of G4. Try physical violence, brother Idol. Please stop encouraging that. It remains effective. uh, it's true. It's so true. I hated Man of Steel, and there are too many movies, so I wrote off the whole DC cinematic series. That's fair. We also know de-aging magic is a real thing. Probably, yeah. Man of Steel, like, it wasn't a memorable movie. I don't think even think I was like entertained by it. The reason why I don't like the DC cinematic series is because it's just too dark, gritty, and real. Though at the same time, I don't like Marvel now just because they have way too many shows. Just way too. It's impossible for someone to catch up on the series if they haven't been keeping up for the last several years. Trixie did Snips and Snails. That's true. Yeah, de-aging is a real thing. I wonder what's the implications of that. Because that's some shaky ground right there. Like, I'd almost say de-aging is more shaky than Reformation. Because, like, they never show slight de-aging. They only show that either you can turn people into babies or you can turn people into seniors, and it doesn't seem like there's an in between. And yes, it's a high level spell. So, but it seems more risky in all honesty, especially if like you're returned to the form of if if like some dude walks up to you, boom, turns you into a baby. It also depends on whether or not you retain all your memories, because if you do, then that's hell. Idol, when I left you, I was but a learner, but now I am the master. Brother Idol, did you give the younglings a bunch of wooden swords and tell them to work it out amongst themselves? Yes. Why? They worked it out according to the Force. Why don't you have a seat over here? Oh, man. He's too dangerous to be left alive. Thing is, everyone forgets the whole he's too dangerous to be left alive, and everyone's complaining about the the sudden turn of Darth Vader. Uh, in an earlier scene, uh, Palpatine orders him to kill Count Dooku and replies with, "He's too dangerous to be left alive," as well as, and then Mace Windu saying it, uh, to Palpatine, it's like both the systems were corrupt, so he's going to obviously choose, with all the turmoil that he's had. All the Jedi say to like his internal turmoil that he can't even tell them outright, or else he would be like banished from the Order. Is just like, don't miss them, miss them, do not. And it's like, man, that's kind of shitty. That's kind of a shitty mindset. So then you get the Sith where it's like, yeah, we can save her. It's like if you're going to conform to one of two corrupt ideologies, then you're going to go to the one that will help you save your wife that's going to die. Thankfully, the second time they turned their swords upon me, demanded extended nap times and increased rations. Uh, this is the proper way of things, just like the simulations. Exactly. So yeah, I don't think that was it Hayden Christensen, uh, or I don't think Anakin's turn to the dark side was all that abrupt that a lot of people complain that it is. And it just makes the last movie like all the stronger because it's just like, yeah, it completely makes sense. Also, Brother Anakin's score in Youngling Slayer 5000 remains concerningly high. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh, that's great. I love it. Suddenly, I'm imagining a DH idol being fawned over by gushing topaz, and Cersei's crooning about how she is the adult now. I am the adult now. Idol, oh yeah, Idol will turn into a little grub. That's right, a little changeling grub. Which imagine if he just did that. Imagine if that happened while he was on shift, and uh, and suddenly I like a highly trained guard is there. Suddenly, a grub who is specifically does not look like a pony. That would be a very interesting. I don't understand how the Jedi are corrupt immediately translated to kill the younglings. That seems sudden. So that oh, and his initials are obscene. Is Anakin Starkiller Skywalker? What could be obscene about that? So the kill the younglings thing, everyone, I like as much as we the implications of all the younglings being killed. Uh, Palpatine tells him that in order to become more powerful, he must do evil things, which, like, he is fully in. He has to fully like be all in on the Sith mindset now because him killing Mace Windu is like point of no return. There is no coming back from him killing Mace Windu, so he has to go all in on the Sith. As well as what Palpatine says, and Palpatine's like, in order to become powerful in the dark side, you must do evil things, and so starts by eradicating the Jedi. So, which unfortunately, a very evil thing you can do is kill the children, which which is, whew, which is might be seen as like a far extreme to go to, but at the same time, he's a desperate man. Desperate men are willing to do desperate things. Palpatine was literally telling him to go on a beer run. Anakin took it totally the wrong way. Anakin is old enough to buy beer. How is that evil? Plus, he was buying the beer for the younglings. I told you we'd kill some younglings. Anakin, there is no fixing this. It's all Sith all the time now. In the books, it said him killing the Sith leaders was when he turned. Okay. Yinglings. Oh, right. I told you we'd kill some Yinglings, Anakin. There's no fixing this. I was wondering why. I was about to ask, like, what's the difference between younglings and Yinglings? Because I've heard Yinglings be uh, in like other YouTube videos, and I'm like, what the heck's a Yingling? TikTok, it's Sith o'clock, Anakin. Oh man. But yeah, also Palpatine says like, go to the Jedi Temple and leave no one alive, and you have to assume that by the time he reaches the younglings, Anakin has already killed a bunch of people. So his dark side was like all the way in at that point, and then it's just like he said, leave no one alive. He probably feels like a complete asshole doing it, but it's all for love and stuff like that. Also, he made fun of all of them when he killed him. Oh no. Have you seen the theory going around that the Grinch is a Sith Chewbacca? Or it's a Sith Wookiee? Because, as you abuse the Force, your mind starts to crack. No spoilers for the Kenobi series. Not because I'm going to watch them, but for other people in the chat, such as V, who seems to be very adamant about no spoilers for Kenobi. But yeah, the Sith, Sith Wookiees, which we know that Wookiees can be Force sensitive. So there's a possibility of there being a Jedi Wookiee, and we all know that when you become a Sith, your eyes get all yellow and fucked up and whatnot. And what's the one character we know that kind of looks like a Wookiee and also has yellow eyes? The Grinch. Padme, I saved you. I had to kill literally everyone you know and care about, but now we can be together. Did I do good? Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be a secret Sith Lord who was acting like an idiot and traveling with Anakin and company. Yes, Darth Jar Jar. It is 100% a thing. Also known by some as Crazy Eyes. As you start getting into the dark side, it becomes a matter of restraining the dark side. Palpatine essentially set up Anakin to go murder mad. So, yeah, you underestimated my power. That's the thing, is that, like, the dark side doesn't necessarily mean evil. It just means using the Force through your emotions. Like, even Anakin used the dark side, even Luke used the dark side in the original trilogy. And that was how he defeated Darth Vader. Like, he was on the depths, on the door of killing Darth Vader, and he was only able to overpower him through the use of the dark side. 2 hours, guys. Let's go for hour 3. Woo! We all know that this basically becomes a podcast at one point or another. Just because I like talking to y'all. Why end there? Unlimited hours. Because I need to eat at some point during the day, and I haven't yet. He gives them a bunch of some sort of reasonable suggestions that were from a bad place and let the passion running wild cement Anakin on his side while there was no going because there was no going back. Palp wasn't Palps wasn't saying hours, he was bragging about his new long distance plan. Unlimited hours. But then Anakin, having gained a lot of power in the dark side, he's also all in on the dark side at this point, and then he gets corrupted by the power that he wields, because he does say a lot of things like, I can overthrow the Chancellor. I can overthrow him. And then it's only when he feels like Padme betrayed him by bringing Obi-Wan to stop him, is when he goes and starts force choking Padme, because he's like, I've done all this for you and this is how you repay me, kind of deal. It makes Anakin's turn to the dark side a lot more, not palatable, but it makes it a lot better when it's just not a full heel turn, because it's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And also that lightsaber duel at the end, the Battle of Heroes, one of the best in the series. Like, holy hell, that is the best lightsaber duel in the history of Star Wars, full stop. Also, you notice Obi-Wan is on the defensive for the entirety of it, because Luke is just such a better he's much better he's much more trained and better than Obi-Wan is, which is interesting. Hold on, I missed the chat again because I was rambling while looking away. No. If he is good enough for the comatose, it's good enough for us. Okay. No, I need to eat. It's also pizza night, so I'm going to get some pizza. Little Caesars, because that's the best and the cheapest around. How did she not see his timing? I mean, he told Padme he wanted a dictatorship even before they got married. Yeah, true. Lord Sidious said that we will be rewarded handsomely. The woman pleaded, I am the reward, and aren't I his? We chuckled as he killed the woman. Oh my gosh. That Vader's actor and voice actor were two different people. Yeah, like, originally they wanted, they did do the actor for Vader. They did the voice, but then they heard James Earl Jones do the voice of Vader, and they're like, all right, we're going to replace all the actors' voice lines with Vader's voice lines. But then he got a call out at the end as being a Force ghost, and then they replaced him with Hayden Christensen, which actually makes sense because that's probably the last time he was ever a Jedi. That was only one of the best, hands down the best, is the best full stop in the entire series. I have the high ground. Obi-Wan's lightsaber speciality was Form 4. It's form dedicated to defensive fighting. The actor for Vader was a terrible voice. I haven't listened to any of the clips. I just know what I have heard through the interwebs. I don't know what, because Idol would, other than blowing up a planet, Idol would probably be on the side of the Empire for the entirety of it. Yeah, I can look it up just after the stream, because I don't watch any videos on stream if I can help it. The only videos I watch on stream is pronunciation videos, because I'm terrible at doing that. I'm gonna get some lines read tonight because we have an hour left before I need to go and eat something. And uh, and I would like to be able to publish any of these BATTY chapters eventually because I have 2 other chapters ready to post as soon as these are done and posted. Galactic Empire, bring order and security to the galaxy. Exactly. This is for Cold Brew, the chapter where you meet Pristine Grinds. Best part of the physical actor's voice, it's basically a dark helmet. You are indeed terrible. Yes, exactly. I've admitted this several times. And I will continue saying pensitives because it annoys you. We also need a chapter about Circe hanging out with Celestia. True. I would also love a chapter about Idol because Idol's like uh, Fort Nowhere. That's its own story now, but Idol, I would perfectly fit into the canon, like either in like a flashback or a time skip. Because we did get a 10-year time skip at one point, and Idol would perfectly be like a perfect flashback in one of those that decade. Oh man, you only have like what 3 months? How long is it now until you have to uh, let him name a character? I can't believe I keep forgetting names. Elite. You have to let Elite name a character with having 2 chapters out. 2 months. Oh man, a chapter a month? Hell yeah! Fort Nowhere is out of control and I love it. I think one of my favorite additions was the Bumblers, just because that's totally something that would happen in Equestria. Just big bee dogs. I would totally see it, and I love it. Unlimited order! No, no, no! It is you who will die! Unlimited order! Oh. Um, ooh. I don't think they could ever train the Bumblers. I uh, I think the Bumblers are just like in a symbiotic relationship with the fort right now. But I don't think you could ever train attack bee dogs. Don't say trains will trigger idle. Oh man. But they can only be trained to walk in a straight line and deliver the enemy line drinks. Welcome, Kama. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you. We're talking about Bumblers right now. Uh, but and a little bit of Fort Nowhere. I think if we want Fort Nowhere to have a story, someone's going to have to write it. uh, no nose, no nose goes for me right now because I cannot write. I've written three stories, but I still affirm that I cannot write whatsoever. But yeah, Idol is definitely like the most wacky, totally equestrian setting I can see. And then Fort Nowhere is just its own thing now. No one wants the massive undertaking of Fort Nowhere. Fort Nowhere, it's huge. The Bad Batch of Change. You just need practice, Nox. No, no. I don't believe nah. Like I enjoy technical writing, like machines and whatnot, which is all the stories that I've actually finished thus far. I do enjoy. I do enjoy like the detail and stuff. World building, not so much. I can't do it. I do not owe you money. I owe you a name change. That is all. That is all I owe you. That is all I agreed to. uh, seems you need another job. No, I don't need I don't need another job. Uh, the job I have is great. I've been really much enjoying it for the last month or so that I've been doing it, and it's a $30 raise from pizza. it's it's definitely worth. It was definitely worth all the hassle to get into it because now that I'm there, like this is this is a great job. Most people, it's kind of funny because like 80% of the people that I work with have been there for like 20 years at this point. I'll be like Nightmare Moon. I have a bunch of ideas that exist as character outlines and disconnected scenes. I don't know how to put them together in a way that feels satisfying. Uh, it is a. Oh, how do I explain it without giving it away? Not that it needs to be a secret where I work, but it usually has a connotation that people don't enjoy. I'm making it sound worse than it is. It's not Smuckers. It's an office job that I look at and correct tax forms all day, which sounds incredibly boring, and sometimes it can be. But thing is that I am jamming out to not jamming out. I just listen to podcast after podcast because I have like three or four things I need to look at per form, and I can just totally zone out while doing it. Turbocharge those taxes. No, it's not. It's not that end of the tax. It's not that end of taxes, but I correct typos in in people's taxes. Not taxes. I don't even do taxes. It's tax form adjacent, but it's not taxes. TurboTax those taxes. Uh, we're making significant progress on the recording. Yeah. It's a $4 raise from pizza, so yeah, they'll pay me 250. They're not going to pay you 250 though. Also, I work with businesses, not individuals, which is very interesting. Uh, but yeah, and I also get holidays off, which is great. I've never had holidays off before. Like, I had a 3-day weekend both last week as well as I have another one coming up with the 4th of July. I'm like, man, I've never had holidays off before. And it's really fun to get them again, or to even have them in the first place. Benefits, hell yeah. But but it's great fun. It's great fun. It's a treat. It's always nice to get like a 3-day weekend. Also, I get a bonus pay, like because I'm working swings at this job because I enjoy nighttime. Uh, but since I work swings, anytime I work after 6, I get a 10% bonus on it, which I will happily take. You're a swinger, I see. Yes. Oh man. Oh, I get it. You're swingers. Everything is going perfectly. Not quite that. Oh man. But here's to a new job that is actually going to be paying me for a change instead of me suffering because because of it. I am not a I'm not a close open. It actually runs 24/7, but I don't think we have a third shift yet. But people tend to work overtime there a lot. Mostly because we're behind by 2 years, which is how I got in because they were having a direct hire event because they need slightly warm bodies. But will they pay you to write your story in between downtime? I could write a story on my breaks, yeah, but my data is crap in the building because it was built in the 60s. uh, so I could bring in a phone. I do bring in my phone, but I don't know if I'd be able to write any story. Plus, I want to finish editing or publication the Promise of a New Day fic before I start my own stuff again because I told myself I wanted that done before my birthday. It's now very much after my birthday, so it's almost exactly a month after my birthday. So I'm going to see if I can get my ADHD brain into editing that, even though editing is sometimes the worst, and I just kind of want to release it as is. Even though I know that there's probably definitely going to be a Futtershy there in the words, or an Applejake. I don't know how these typos happen, but they do, and I have to correct them. If Idle has ever arrested someone for tax evasion, um, I don't think Idle deals with tax evasion because at least in the U.S., like that would be like someone sending the military to your house in order to in order to like get your tax stuff, which like which just sounds hilarious. Could write your next story about your main character paying a criminally unappreciated writer the 250 he owes them. No. I think I'll write it so that way it's a rags to riches uh, where the unappreciated writer pays the 250 that he owes the main character for unexplicable reasons because of a reverse bet that he lost. I suggest giving Princess Celestia supreme powers. Idle ponies are just walking in front of us. They're in her way. Idle's luck would be he somehow overpaid and they owe him money. Yes. Oh yeah, money confuses the hell out of him. Oh, the How to Pony books. I totally would love to see Idle do the How to Pony books. They can't happen in the story now, but it would be amazing to see it in other fics. Idle would just not try and understand them. He would use them as an attempt to get rid of his money. He always ends up with more bits. Yeah, he is cursed to amass wealth, which annoys everyone else who tries to do that but can't do it as successfully as Idle seems to do it. Alrighty then. Idle thinks all the taxes go to the princesses. The fact that they don't would confuse the hell out of him. Well, hold on. I am a Jedi. I have given up all earthly possessions. Why do I get special dispensation for my own line of credit? Funny as hell it is. Yes. I hope to see him run into Daring Do again, and she needs his help to crack open a ruin. Yes. Oh, yes, that story that happened. Uh, oh man, the where it's like a second ruin that can only be opened by the person that got the got the goblet from the first one. That is that is so great, especially since like what is it like? Uh, it was just a funny idea to just get Idol to more and more put on regal armor and sit on a regal uh, regal clothing, be on a throne with a crown. Because it's just funny to see Idol put in positions that he does not want to be in, like that. So we pay tribute in order for them to raise the sun and the moon. Yes, 100%. Why am I being raised to master? See young Skywalker's face we will, and laugh about it over drinks we shall. Yep, 100%. Also, like I've always found it hilarious how funny, how on the nose uh, Anakin's and Luke's last name is Skywalker. Like, who was the guy who just like I'm changing my name to my family's name is Skywalker? Like even before space began, like or was it the case like he changed his name to be Skywalker as space like became more and more of a thing, and so it's just now a family last name where it's just like the Skywalkers, and then they turn up, then they become slaves on a desert planet, never to walk the skies again. Starkiller is even more on the nose, but I love how they saved that for the video games about for the video game. I haven't played that. I have not played, but but it's still like you don't need to get that on the nose. It's like, oh, what's another character? Uh, it's like Percy Jackson's like last name being like Titan Toppler or something or something like that. It's just too on the nose. How do you get to that? Exactly. How do you get the name of Star Killer, and that's actually your, and like I could understand Skywalker being like a nickname of some sort, but not a family name. Same thing with Star Killer. That is a nickname that people call you uh, after you do like something in some insane stuff. But Star Killer being your actual last name, that that is just that is just beyond reason for me right there. There's Elaine. There's Alan. 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 Alon. Alan. Hmm. I am stuck on the wrong part of the name right now, but it doesn't look like Elaine because it doesn't have an I or an E. Can't be Alan because that's on A. Alan. I'm going to go with Alan. Alan Sleaze Bagnono from episode 2. With the guy in high school whose name was Wolf Chief. Yeah, hell yeah. That's the dude who's trying to sell Obi-Wan not cigarette. You don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to buy any death sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life. I want to go home and rethink my life. Also, if someone I remember someone pointed out that that it only works on the weak mind. Uh, the weak minded is just kind of like a is just kind of funny because it's like you're telling people, no, 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 it won't work on you. It only works on the weak minded. These streams should happen more often with how much progress is being made on the recording for the idle chatter to be worth it. Get it? His name is Sleazebag. Yes, I get his name is Sleazebag. It's great. Uh, the fantastic progress of being at. This is also a long chapter, let's be real. Like, we're not even halfway through it, and it's already a 15-minute recording. It's almost a 16-minute recording right now. So it's a long chapter. That definitely needs that I'm more than happy to read. But I do enjoy reading chat as well. Especially because I don't want to deal with figuring out how to do Shining Armor's voice. Because it's a pain. Because it's Surfer Bro, dude. It's Surfer Bro, dude, bro. Or no, bruh. Surfer Bro, dude, bro, bruh. It just gets more ridiculous. Changeling. Philomena decided to come visit and hacked up flaming pellets in Luna's tower. That's a terrible voice. Not dude bro. Less surfer bro, more college bro. I don't know. I've always said he's surfer bro. Dude. Waves a hoof in front of Blueberry. You will volunteer for the orphanage and donate money to it. Not dude bro, just college bro. I will volunteer to the orphanage. I will volunteer in the orphanage and will donate money to it. Nice. The whole thing is, I think the original voice for Shining was Surfer Bro, because he's like, "To Eiley," and I'm totally stealing that from Anthony Cannon because that's exactly what that's the exact joke that he made. That is that Shining's a Surfer Bro. 2.5 hours of distraction in a 3-hour stream. Exactly. You see the picture I linked a few days ago? Found on Reddit, and it's funny if you read the books. Probably. I look at a lot of things. Oh, there we go. Oh, yes, I saw that. It's great. It's really good. All right. I haven't read the books because they seem to be an eternity long, and I can't hold my attention for that much long time. Is this a new record? No, because the highest record is the 16-hour New Year's live stream that we hosted a couple years ago. That is the longest time that I've been distracted for. At V and Desk, where you were a part of it, so you should know this. You should know. You, all three of us together, talked for 16 hours, and I lost my voice the next day, which was funny. And I don't regret it whatsoever. Idol in the Hunger Games. Did the Idol series of dolls become canon to the story? I don't think it ever did, but we like to think that's canon. That happened in the 10-year time lapse, the 10-year time skip that happened earlier in the series, in the book. The next level, of course, is to do a stream where you get so distracted that you make negative progress. We have done that before. We have done that. Where I read the entirety of Dank Woods' lines as Schmeagol, because I was in a Schmeagol kick that I can't even do Schmeagol today. Yes, yes. Schmiegel. Well, what's pulling the stuff on here? I can't do Schmiegel today. I don't know why. Usually I'm really good with consistent with being able to do Schmiegel. Then after I did the stream, I had to erase the entire thing and redo it with non-Schmiegel Dankwoods. Use them in my Idol spinoff, if that counts. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. That's right. I need to catch up on that because I keep getting distracted and not reading. I can do a Peter Lorre voice and frequently use it to screw with telemarketers. Hold on. Peter Lorre? He's an actor? Actually, this isn't the same. I don't know who Peter Lorre is. If he's an actor, tell me what he played as, because I'm more likely to recognize that than the actor's name. You know what else I need to catch up on? Village Called Respite. I 100% need to catch up on that because I haven't done anything with that series in 5 years, and I feel bad because that is such a fun series that I do want to complete one of these days. A lot of horror flicks. Interesting. Oh, is he the guy that does the thriller monologue at the end? Darkness falls within the air, the stench of 40,000 years. I could be thinking of someone completely else. Probably am. Is he the famous horror voice guy? Let's see his IMDb, because let's see. The Comedy of Terrors, The Raven, Route 66. Man from the South and the Diplomatic Course. Probably. I am looking. Around the World in 80 Days. I have seen that movie, but it's been so. But I think I saw it when I was 4, so I don't remember any of it. Haven't seen that. Is no Thriller Vincent Price. That's it. Doing a line in Looney Tunes. Changes also was also a book. IRS 12 seconds long? What? Hotel Berlin. Nope. I don't think I've seen any of this. Yep, I don't think I've ever seen Peter Lorre before. Boop. 100% V. 100% that's what would happen. Oh yeah, you can't post links in the chat. In the YouTube chat, you have to go to the live stream chat in the Discord, which I think I have linked down below. If I don't, let me know and I'll link it. I don't like killing the excellent mood and fun. I merely love this fic immensely, and I'm too dyslexic to read it myself. On top of Nox reading and voicing it perfectly. Now that I'm introduced to change, I'll put it on my to read later list, which doesn't guarantee that I'll actually read it, unfortunately. But I will make effort to actually read this one. But I get distracted very quickly, and I apologize in advance for that. As you can see by me by doing 2.5 hours of nothing. Let's see. That guy? Interesting. That's a cool voice. We do use the opportunity here to BS. 100%. Uh, that's great. That that's a fun voice, and I have heard that voice before. I didn't know that was a specific actor's voice. Also, welcome Amber. Uh, uh, Bring myself on top, but yeah, I will. Uh, Eventually, the fic will get done. I'm actually going to be testing out this week, since uh, I forgot. I'm going to be testing out this week about reading after work. Now that I'm not going to be bone tired after work, uh, but it's just a whole matter of me getting into the right mind space in order to do this. Oh yeah, that's right. He does do that. That that's true. Audible is great. I actually, so funny you mentioned Audible, comma. Uh, it's not a pretty picture. I don't like doing it. Uh, that's great, Seth. Uh, so, comma. Funny enough that you mentioned Audible. That's actually the reason why. One of the many things that started me down this path of reading Changeling of the Guard. One of them was I was working for an exterminator uh, company that my brother works at over the summer for extra money while I was going to school, and uh, I didn't have time to watch anything, but I could listen to a lot of stuff, and that was one of my first uh, what was it? One of my first fics that I was reading at the time, Changing of the Guard. I'm like, man, this doesn't have any live reading for it, except for like a robot voice, and I wasn't interested in robot voice readings. So I was like, man, all these great fics that are read, like such as like Awakening and whatnot, like I can listen to all those, but I'm obsessed right now with Changing of the Guard. So I'm like, I do have a microphone, and I do enjoy reading this. So that's when I decided to start recording this series, was because I just went, fine, I'll do it myself. And that's what started that's what started it. Um, and then I was like, after like a lot of y'all were like, I really after y'all was like, you do a really good voice and whatnot for this. I'm like, I could actually turn this into a career. And I was like looking into the rules of Audible and whatnot, and trying to see if I could get onto their uh, voice actor list. And then and then I was like, oh, I'll apply these same rules to Changing of the Guard, uh, which I immediately broke because I did uh, heavy editing for the uh, for Chrysalis's voice, which is why she sounds like that, as well as Celestia's, as well as Alicorn voices in general, because uh, because I at the time I was like so unconfident about uh, being able to do a female voice, especially Chrysalis's voice, which I'm like, this is going to be a huge character. I want to get her voice right, if anything else. So I'm like, I'll make it sound buggy, which, funny enough, is you can't do that heavy editing when you're working for Audible. But that's also why I don't have any background music either, because they don't want you to put in background music for Audible. And that's just kind of the same trend I've been doing ever since. And I was like, a few years ago, I was like, I'm doing this so that way I can have this be like a audition reel for authors to find me. And now I'm just like, I'm doing this for fun. I don't care about getting into Audible anymore because the only reason I'm still doing this story is because I just love it so much. And we all and, and it's just a fantastic work and highly fit and the thank y'all for everything that you do because without you we all wouldn't be here right now and this is so much fun, so thank you for being you. If Change the Guard had a theme song, what would it be? I would have a feeling that if Changeling of the Guard had a theme song, it would be an undertone of like a march kind of theme because it's idle, but on top of it, it would be uh, more jazzy kind of deal, where it's like you have the steady march of idle, and then on top of it, you have the utter randomness that is ponies that is ponies on top of idle's perception, and that's how I think I and that's how I think a theme song would go for it. Let's be honest with Changing the Guard. You have made one hell of a fun pet playground. It is super fun. I wouldn't be wasting all this time on idle spin-off stories if it weren't for V Drake. Yeah, it's great. And that's why I always want to like give back to not only the community but to V as well. To because y'all been so great. It's been so great just like spending 2 or 3 hours every so off like every it used to be every Saturday. It turned to every other Saturday, and now it's like almost once a month, which need to get better at doing that. But it's just been fun hanging out with y'all. That's why, like, no matter what I do, I'll always make sure to do like those little extra special things, like the carols that we always have fun with with every year, the New Year's live stream especially, and just regularly doing these live streams in general because it's all for you. It's all for you. This is all, and that's why I also don't like talking about myself too much because I'm like, because this is your show. It's not mine. It's all yours, and I'll stick with that 100% of the way. It's always been all you. It's always been yours. I may be hosting it, but it's all for you. Take place of Whammy. Yes, 100% idle taking place of Whammy and being snuggled by Flurry while the actual Whammy's in the wash. That's 100% what would happen for Idle's goddaughter. Let's see. All right, gnash teeth with a ghastly smile. I can do that. I can do gnash teeth and forced happiness. I worked in food for 5 years. uh, Philomena decided to come visit and hacked flaming pellets. That's not even Shining's voice. This is not going to become a thing, right? Well, we really should wash Whammy every other day or so. So true. After helping out raising all my nieces and nephews, 100%. My nephew had this one blanket. It was his blue blanket. He always had to have it. Like I remember one time, we put him down to sleep. He accidentally threw it out of his crib. We didn't have a baby monitor, so we couldn't see him throw it out of his crib, and he would not stop crying, and we're like trying to do the whole don't immediately go and get him. But then we come up and he's just standing at the crib reaching out for his little blanket, and we're like, "Oh, you're so cute. Oh, we're so sorry. Here you go." And he like hugged it so hard, and then just fell right asleep. And we're like, "Oh, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. You're too cute." Mental image of Idol taking the form of a huge Hydra, then glaring at a Colchcy to date teen flurry. Why should I? Why should I let you date her? Getting whammy out of the washer. Congratulations, sir. Wrong one. Oh my gosh. Oh man, uh, at, at the funny thing is that uh, if if they got Idol out of the washer, would they just let him? Would he transform back, or would they just be like, "Well, he is soaked all the way through," and then just put him in the dryer? Or is it one of those special washer dryers that are just like a washer and a dryer in one? Did Idol survive the wash by turning into a fish? He merely turned wet. uh, Not if he's a plushie, I would imagine he doesn't need to breathe. Like, well, I don't know. Changeling physiology is always very interesting, uh, because they can take some forms of so many different things. Uh, like when Thorax turned into a rock while avoiding a spike, uh, he was just a rock. Does that mean that like he didn't need to breathe, eat, or do anything, and then just, uh, or was it just a case of he just did that through like the porous nature of the rock, which is just hang him on the line. Uh, oh man. Uh, Funny thing is, I've actually for I can't. It's not for. It wasn't for a story purpose. There's a lot of reason. Like I sometimes just Google the most random things. Sometimes it's for like a story idea. Other times it's because I'm like, how does that work? And then I go down a whole rabbit hole and then forget why I Googled it in the first place. But I did learn that like plushies, it's super hard to get them like completely dried out if they're soaked. But it's super important to do it. So they would, but also to like like fluff them to like get all the stuffing in the right places too. So I could imagine like Idol after coming out of the washer and or dryer to just like uh, almost need man handling to get his stuffing back in the proper places, so he was back in the original form of as a plush. I am full of soap and anguish. Surely we will laugh later. Katie gets really mad at me if I don't put everything from the wash right into the dryer. And you can't forget the dryer sheet either. Because it's like when you fluff your pillows, right? Because they're always uh, they always just like deform just because of the way you're sleeping on them or something. Kind of just fluff them to get back into like a semi-normal shape. You have to do that with plushies too. Fortunately, I have my fortunately I have my stuffing for just such an occasion. You put Idol in the dryer? He was wet. How do I have 3 children? You put Idol in the dryer? That's true. It's very important to dry out your changeling before they before they transform back, because you don't want that all that extra water content. uh, he might feel bloated. He smells like spring breeze. Yeah. It was actually something like a hot steam bath while speeding very fast. uh, I actually, funny enough, I've ran across a couple of pictures that perfectly encapsulates exactly what we're talking about. Let's see if I can. First, let's see if I can actually find them. Because I just save every picture into one folder. Don't name any of them because I'm just like, ooh, this looks cool. This looks cool. uh, can I remember the artist's name? He put Idol in the wash with something red. I mean, would Idol turn pink? Because he's because he's already such a dark color. Would be more unfortunate if Idol was put in with the whites. Not only would everything turn like more gray, but then his coat would also be a bit more bleached. Is it this one? Yeah, I found both of them. All right, let's see. Let's put these. In the chat. There we go. And a boost. A boosky. I can't believe I have art. I can't believe I found that because it was like almost a year ago that I saved them. You have just stopped being Whammy or told me whammies do not talk, sir. Idol shrinking in the wash. Oh my gosh. I could even see that, like, even though I could also see something else as like uh, the Flurry loves Whammy in the main canon of the show, but I could also see her totally. I could also see her loving a officer friendly doll as well. So Idol has to be become Idol for her. Katie, we have a small problem. Did you just make a size joke about my? Did you just make a joke about my size? He's right, father. Circe, stop doing that, little brother. Oh man, I think this is the second stream ever that we uh, have not gotten anything done. I'm not discounting the New Year's live streams because nothing ever gets done during those. It's already 8. No. Stupid plans that I have with other people. No. as well as needing to get food, because that is also kind of important. Uh, is this going to be like part of the new Idol headcanon? Uh, Idol headcanon is that he sometimes gets thrown in the wash by mistake. 3 hours. Yep. Yeah, you got me for 3 hours. I mean, there was also that one stream where I just sung sea shanties for the entirety. Yeah, something that also makes since like we're now totally thinking that Idol gets put through the wash, uh, maybe what once or once or twice. uh, would anyone would he do that to himself, or uh, one thing I'm curious is that if he gets something spilled on him as he's a plush, he just prepares the washer for himself and hops in because uh, because plushies are meant to be are supposed to go in the washing machine and not in the shower. Hey, Mountain Time, greeting from the East Coast. Hey, someone knows what Mountain Time is. Did you put a diving board on the washing machine? Also, would it be one of those old washing machines that uh, you could start without closing the lid? So it could actually start up and it actually does look like a pool? Or would it be a tumble washer? Because there's only two versions of washing machines that I know of, and both are fun in different ways for this kind of thinking. Uh, Top washer, because those are the most easily ones to like not be able to escape from, whereas tumble washers just you get a glass, you can see the world, you can see inside them. So Equestria seems to be old fashioned. Yeah, idle in the washer like it's a hot tub. Wasn't there a story about Celestia being in a washing machine at one point? Oh, one of the maids just takes him to a washing board. I almost forgot it. I almost forgot about the washing board one. Though I imagine that the castle would probably have the more heavy duty washing machines, just because well, they were talking about like curtains, uh, about the heavy curtains. Those have to be washed every once in a while, right? They certainly would probably get dusty. Red sock in the wash? Yes, red sock in the wash. And no one will question it because it's idle. Now, which is now here's the real question: which would be more funny? More funny, where Idle in his just natural changing form, just hanging out uh, in the washing machine in his normal form, him being an officer friendly, or him being a whammy doll. I could imagine it being a whammy doll the first couple times he accidentally gets washed, or maybe even an officer friendly because that's the closest form for him to take as a plush. It's one he's very used to. Oh yeah, I saw Seth. It's great. Uh, but yeah, glad we could add on to the lore of Idol and his misadventures with with babies. Misadventures in Babysitting. Oh, that would be such a cool fic name if you just. Yes, it's totally a rip off of Adventures in Babysitting. But it'd be fun nonetheless. It would be fun nonetheless. Idle as Princess Celestia's plush. So what? Is this like one of those ones where Celestia gets youngified or de-aged? Idle, why are you in the washing machine? It's more efficient than showering. That is true. It is. Well, showering, or no, it could just be it's more efficient than a bath, especially for like water savings. He could say. Because yeah, bathtubs take way too much water to be used regularly, and I don't think Topaz has a shower. They always mention a bath, like when he first moved in. He mentions a bath, but not a shower. So it's just more efficient than bathing, for sure. But anyway, as much fun as it is to torture Idle while him being a plush or him being idle, uh, I do have to head out now. It's been fun hanging out with y'all. Hopefully, knock on wood over here, I'll be able to do it more regularly, and or be able to do like late night streams during the week, because I'm usually up until like 4 in the morning over here, give or take. So I could do some really late night streams for people that usually can't make the streams. It's a shower bath. All pigs I like to pretend to be ducks, but they keep it quiet. Yeah, it's been really fun. Thanks y'all for heading out here. Thanks y'all for hanging out, and hopefully we'll all see you whenever I do it again. Hopefully, it won't be another month before we get that. Don't know. You never know when it comes to holidays and whatnot. Which, isn't there another holiday like next week? Not this week, but the week after this. Oh, I do also remember there were some pictures about like Pegasi using like bird baths and whatnot. Pegasi as birds. Always fun. But in any case, thank you all for hanging out with me, and thanks for and thanks y'all for being here. And hopefully we'll see you next time. But for now, I'll have to say adieu, and you have a wonderful night. Bye.